Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the 20 something podcast. Um, I'm your host, Aaron Gutierrez. That sounds crazy to say, but I am starting a podcast, and this is the first episode of the podcast. Today is December 30th, 2024, and I've been thinking about starting a podcast for a little bit of time. Um, But I think maybe for different reasons than people typically start podcasts for, or maybe I'm wrong, but I think something I realized recently is that I really have changed so much over the course of 2024. And not only 2024, but just like looking back at every year, I'm just such a different version of myself and I feel like such a different person. And on one hand, it's like crazy in like a scary way, I think, to just see how much I've changed because it kind of freaks me out in a sense that like who am I if I'm constantly changing from like month to month and year to year. But on the other hand, I think it's quite beautiful, honestly. I think seeing myself change has been something so amazing to see. And honestly, I associate it with growth. I think I am a lot wiser and in a lot better of like a place than I was even just like a couple months ago. I think I'm just learning more and more about myself and interacting with the world differently. And I'm falling more and more in love with myself and life and my perspectives and everything. And so the reason I'm starting this podcast is because I just want to capture this changing mindset I have. And I think if I have a podcast, it'll be super fun to look back at, my points of view and see how they've changed over the years. And so, because just like imagine being, 40, 50, 60, honestly, any age, maybe even like a year from now, and just looking back at how you thought and like where you were at different ages in life and kind of just seeing how much you've changed. And so it's kind of like a verbal journal for me because I do journal and I do kind of capture my thoughts and my mindset at different stages in life through my journal. But I think talking things through has a different kind of sentimentality to it. I think it feels very like just hearing your voice as even your voice changes throughout the years. I don't know, it's super beautiful to me. And I think I want to use this as sort of like a time capsule for myself and to kind of just um, dive into my thoughts and different topics of love and heartbreak and, goals and aspirations and what life means to me and what excites me and what doesn't excite me and how I'm changing. And I also would love to eventually invite some of my friends to be on this podcast and maybe even strangers. I think I just want to learn from other people and kind of just like capture different moments in my life of who's in my life at that moment and where are we both in our lives at that moment. And so I think that's my main goal for starting this podcast. And the title is 20 something. Um, and the title is 20 something because I'm 23 years old currently. And I think it is still pretty early on into my 20s, but I'm getting to the point where people always say that the 20s are a very defining decade in your life and you change so much. And when I first entered my 20s, I think I didn't really think about that too much. I was kind of just excited to be 21 and to party with my friends. But now I'm like 23, turning 24 in like 5 months about. And I think I'm getting to the point where a lot of kind of questions are popping up of just like career choices and like, am I making the right choice? And then also just like, what should I be doing? Should I be prioritizing, traveling and seeing the world, or should I, try to stay in one place for a little bit and kind of really develop friendships and develop work? And so there's just like a lot of questions I've been asking myself. And I think it has honestly added a level of stress to myself just because I think being in your 20s is such a transformative period in your life and you never like I feel like it can dictate a lot, and I think it's beautiful, and at the same time it's super scary. And so hopefully this podcast is honestly meant for myself, but the one thing I love about social media is kind of you can find your tribe through, the videos you put out, and hopefully this resonates with other people who are kind of in the same boat of just not knowing exactly what to do, and that's okay because I think the best thing we can do for ourselves is just listen to, our values and our thoughts, and listen to how we're feeling and act based upon that. Because otherwise, if we're not acting authentically, I think that's the way you live a unfulfilling life. And so, me recently, I feel like I've been learning a lot about myself and how I feel and what my values are and what's important in life for me. And that has been really eye opening, honestly, because I think for a while I was just following the grain and just following what other people were doing. And I just thought it looked cool. So I was like, because it looks cool, I want to hop on it too. And I want to be a part of this. And so for a while, I kind of just followed along, what other people were doing. And I never really questioned how I truly feel about it. And I'm coming to the point where I'm learning so much about myself, and 2024 has been such a eye-opening year for me of just discovering who I am and what matters to me. And it's not what I thought it was. Like, me in college was so certain about so many things that I wanted to do in life. I had like a 5-year plan for myself. I saw such a clear vision of myself and who I was going to be and what I was going to be doing. And now it's completely different. What mattered to me then does not matter to me now. Um, and for a little bit of insight, I was just for sure, like I studied public relations in university, and I was so certain that like entertainment and just like being a part of the like entertainment world and even social media, I used to want to be an influencer so badly. And I know it sounds maybe a little contradictory, saying that that's not important to me anymore as I'm creating a podcast. But I think I wanted to be an influencer for different reasons. For me, if you had a following and were popular on social media, that meant that you were doing something right in life. And I lived by that for so many years. I would make content and hope that it would like blow up, and then people would look at me and be like, wow, this guy's famous. Like, I want to be his friend. And I'm like, that's such a bad reason to want to create content. And I think now I've learned a lot more about myself, and that isn't as important to me at all. I think I have really found things in my like physical life that make me feel so fulfilled and so happy. Like my friendships, I love so much. My family, my hobbies I picked up in 2024, which I will talk about in a bit. Um, my mindset, just like I feel like so fulfilled by the physical things in life that are just all around me, that like I don't feel like I need to prove something to the internet anymore. And so for this podcast, honestly, like if it's just me and like my close circle of friends that listen to it, that would make me happy because I think I view social media and I view, my life so much more differently now than I did when I was in high school and in college. And so all this is just to say that like I have changed so much over the course of time, and I think it's beautiful to see that change and to see that growth. Um, and the 20s are such a transformative time. And so like right now I'm 23, and I feel like I know what my values are and I know what I kind of want out of life, but I think it'll be fun to see maybe in a couple years that will fully change, and I might not be aligned with what I'm aligned with now. But yeah, I want to take a second to just talk about where I am in this moment and a little bit more about things that are happening, because I think I kind of just started yapping, which I tend to do. But I wrote some notes in my journal about what I wanted to talk about in this first episode specifically. But I hope that provided some insight into the goal of this podcast. And so it's going to be super low pressure. I think um, a lot of the times, or in the past, I felt like I had to do things super perfectly, and it had to be super high quality, and it had to be my best or nothing. But I think now I'm pursuing things that just inspire me and that I want to pursue and not feel like I have to. And because of that, I think just the act of, talking to myself on a camera and recording it on my phone, the act of doing that, I think, is super meaningful to me. And that's why I hope it'll stick. I don't think I'm going to hold myself to a certain schedule of just, I need to have a podcast episode every Sunday by 3 p.m. Pacific time uploaded, and it has to be this duration long, and it has to be this quality, and I have to be in this studio recording it. I think for me, this podcast is kind of, like I said earlier, just a time capsule. And so right now, I am sitting. There's two forms of this. I have a YouTube channel, so if you're seeing me on YouTube right now, hello. But if you're seeing me, or if you're listening to me on Spotify, where I am right now is I'm in this beautiful area that's not too far from my house, but it is a drive. And I'm looking at the ocean and the waves crashing against the rocks down at the beach. And I'm towards the edge of a cliff. I know that sounds a little scary, but I'm at a good safe distance. And I'm just sitting here looking at the vast ocean. The line where the ocean and the sky meet is very blurred right now because the sky's a little bit hazy. The weather's a little bit chilly, but I have a jacket, so I'm okay. Um, and I'm filming this right now outside because I think whenever I'm outside, I feel very grounded and at peace. I think if I don't go outside enough, I start to feel very poorly and I feel very just anxious, and I don't know, I just don't feel good. And so um, I also kind of want to use this podcast as a way for me to get outside, to like once a week to just get outside, hopefully, and just chat with myself and kind of recenter about where I am and what's happening and how I'm feeling, because I think I'm going through a lot of changes right now in my life too. I started a job at the beginning of December, and I'm super grateful for this job and I love this job. But I think change um, is something that like I just need to adjust to, and at first it can feel a little overwhelming, but I know I've adjusted to change before. But I think it's nice to kind of just like have this thing to look forward to every week where I can just, no matter how busy the week is and no matter how stressed I may be, I can look forward to talking with myself in nature, wherever that may be. Maybe it'll be like on the sand really close to the ocean one day. Maybe it will be during a hike another day. Maybe it'll be inside another day. I don't know. I think I just want to be very fluid and open with this podcast and just chatting with myself and have no crazy edits. Like, hopefully, I don't have to edit this episode. Hopefully, this video just lives as it is in its rawest form. But yeah, that's a little bit about the podcast. I will stop yapping so much now and I will go back to my structured notes I had about what I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I think I wanted to do a little recap of 2024. And so the title of this episode, I think as of right now, is going to be My Resolution to New Year's Resolutions. And I think it's interesting to me because every year, I mean, I do this, I think it's a very like societal norm to like reset every year and kind of just like think about where you are in life and what direction you want to go in. And I used to take this so seriously, and I still do, but I think I put less pressure on myself now for New Year's resolutions than I used to, just because I think planning for a whole year is kind of insane, and like predicting how you will be 12 months from now, 11 months from now, 10 months from now is so hard to do, and I don't think any of us can accurately do it if you're growing in life, you know? Because things change whether they're in your control or not, and you can kind of have a vision for yourself and have a direction you want to go in, but it'll look very different when you actually get to that point. And so I think New Year's resolutions, I like to have them, but I hold them very like tenderly, you know? It's like, yes, I think at this point in my life this is what I want and this is what I vision for myself, but if it doesn't come to fruition and it doesn't happen the way I thought it would, that's okay too, because I'm allowed to change my mind and situations are allowed to change. And so I want to read my 2024 New Year's resolutions to you guys first. I wrote them down, and every year I get a planner and I kind of use it as like a planner but also a scrapbook, and sort of a diary. It's kind of just like a three in one. But for 2024, my New Year's resolutions were get a job. I entered 2024 unemployed, and I was freaking out because I felt like such a loser because, you know, I graduated college in May and then it was January and it's like the New Year's coming and I'm still unemployed and living at home. And I remember just feeling super like uncool because it was so hard for me to get a job and I'd put in so much effort into applying, and you'd see all these other people around you getting a job, and it's like I was at such a conflicting time in my life because I wanted to, you know, enjoy this like era of just living at home and applying for jobs and having free time and really like using taking advantage of this time, because once you start a job, I think it's kind of just go go go. You never really leave the workforce. And so it was such a double-edged sword because on one hand I was like, I want to use this time to just like live my life but still apply to jobs and like still work towards getting a job, but also live in the moment. But then I would get so stressed and so upset with just feeling stagnant in life that it was hard for me to fully allow myself to be present. And so it was a rough time entering 2024, but I did get a job. I got an internship come May of 2024, and as I said not too long ago, I recently got a full-time job in early December. So I did get a job, and it's funny because I think when you don't have a job, you so desperately want one, and then when you have one, you're like you miss the freedom of just not having a very structured and like time-consuming day. So it's like I think, but honestly, I'm very grateful to have a job just because money, I fear, is freedom, and I'm still at that point where I think I'm just adjusting, and so we'll get there to the point where I think I find a nice schedule for myself. But yes, okay. So that was my first New Year's resolution. Get an apartment was number two, and that I do not have. I still live at home, and that this was something I was super set on. I would like talk to my therapist a bunch about it too. I was just like, I need an apartment because I think when I was in college, I was a resident advisor and I had my own apartment, and it was so nice just having my own space, decorating it, coming and going as I please. And I really took advantage of that because it was for free too, and I was living my best life. And then post grad, I moved back in with my family, and I think it's weird. It's like an adjustment for sure when you have your own space and you're kind of used to this independence, and then you go back as like an adult and also have experienced having your own space to living with your family again. It was an adjustment for sure, and I was struggling for a little bit. I think now I've gotten to the point where I'm more appreciative than anything because saving money is, I think, where I'm at right now in life, and apartments are expensive. So that's one thing that's definitely changed. I thought for sure January 2024, I was like, the second I get a job, I'm getting an apartment. I don't care. But now I had a job, you know, an internship in May, and I have a full-time job now, and I still don't really care to get an apartment because if I can live at home and just be with my family too, because I think once I move out, I probably won't move back in, and I'm trying to just like cherish these moments I have with my family as much as I can. So I think so that's one of the things that's definitely changed is I thought for sure I would want an apartment immediately the second I got a job, but I don't now. I feel very content. The third one was get a dog. I really wanted a dog so badly. I think my mental health was super bad. Um, Come January 2024, and I kind of wanted an animal or like a dog as an emotional support animal, just because they make me so happy. Every time I stumble across a dog in the real world, I like have to pet it, and I think I just like freeze for a second just because they're so cute. And obviously, I wouldn't get a dog just to say it's cute and to use it as an emotional support animal. I'd be fully committed to taking care of it and making sure the dog is happy and healthy. But that was something I really needed and like wanted. But now I think I have so much going on in my life. My schedules, like I feel like it's so hard for me to find free times to just like sit with myself that I can't even imagine taking care of another living creature. And so getting a dog maybe is a goal for me in life, but definitely not anytime soon. I will still be petting every dog I see as I come across them in public, but I fear I don't have it in me to actually buy a dog and deal with that responsibility. The fourth one was travel outside of the US. I did not do that either. I think I still really want to, and that's one of my resolutions for 2025 is to travel outside of the United States because I've never left the country, which is mind-boggling because I think I feel so inspired to, and a lot of the content I consume are from creators that travel the world, and I just think it's so beautiful to see such a different culture. I've just been so immersed in US and LA specifically culture that I think it's super refreshing to see other ways of life. And I really wanted to do this in 2024, also because I was a Spanish minor and my Spanish is slipping away, so I really wanted a chance to like go to somewhere in Latin America or Spanish speaking country and just immerse myself in Spanish again too. But that didn't happen. It is expensive to travel, and so I think I got, my internship, which was super low money in May, and I had that until like November. And the pay was like, obviously, I was glad to be getting paid, but it was nowhere near enough for me to travel. And so, just realistically, I think that goal wasn't feasible. But hopefully for 2025, I will have my feet on foreign soil. Another goal was read 12 or more books, which is crazy. I think I have this goal every year where I need to. I love reading. I really do. I think every time I finish a good book, I feel so moved and I think about it for like the next week. But I don't know, something about me is like, I think there's so many things I want to do, and one of them, yes, is reading, but because there's so much I want to do, I tend to struggle with just like choosing reading over something else. Um, and so I set a goal this year to read four books because I read four books in 2024, which is um one third of the goal I set for 2024, but that's okay. And so my goal is to read four books. I think also I really love books that kind of teach me something. And for a while, I would only just gravitate towards fictional books. And I love a fictional book. But I think the books that really inspire me are the like self help books almost. Not the like 5 a.m., like super productive. I think the ones that like really teach you to just like, they're kind of like a therapy book, Like it's like you learn so much about yourself and you learn in a way that like you're growing mentally and emotionally. And I think those books really inspire me because a lot of the podcasts I've been consuming lately have been along those lines, and I eat those up. I eat those up so much. And so I think the four books I do read in 2024, I kind of want them to be more um, focused on themes of just like vulnerability and acceptance and kind of just being in tune with your emotions and listening to yourself and being very mindful. I think those are the books that actually will pull my interest more. And so hopefully I'll read 4 books in 2025. Another New Year's resolution I had for 2024 was get buff. And I think this is funny because I just like started going to the gym, I think in like December or maybe November of 2023. And so entering 2024, I just like wanted to continue the gym, but I didn't know how to say that. So I was like, get buff. And the gym has been something that's been very consistent with me. It's been one of my best investments in 2024, just going to the gym. I think I use it almost as a form of therapy. And I've tried, like working out in the past. And I think it's similar to what I was saying earlier about social media and just like wanting something, but for the wrong reasons. Because in the past, social media, I wanted it to become famous. And then in the past, I wanted to like work out so I can like have a very fit and nice toned body. But I think now I use exercise and I use the gym as a form of, releasing stress and kind of just like getting all my anxieties out. And I use it as something that like I look forward to because I feel so good afterward. And if I don't do it for a while and if I don't move my body for a while, I'm kind of just upset. I'm like, no, I need to move. I need to like do something. And so the gym and running, that was like a shock for me in 2024. I had no idea I was gonna start running, but I did. And both of those kind of physical activities have been so pivotal for my mental health and my identity. I think I now identify myself as a runner and as an athlete. And before, I felt very like non-athletic. And it's one of those things that like because you weren't doing something when you were younger, you think that like naturally you won't want to do it when you're older. And so I used to not be into physical activity at all. And I guess throughout like college I kind of was just like, yeah, that's not for me. But this year I really gave it a chance and I was like, let me join a run club. And I joined a run club. And it like honestly was one of my favorite decisions I've ever made because it introduced me to running and like runner's high. And after I would go for a run, I just feel so amazing. And it's like before I work out, like a lot of the times I'll feel very like anxious. And then I'll work out and I'll literally feel so much better. Obviously, like it's not gonna perfectly heal you and make you feel completely better, but like it makes me feel super good. And I think one of my favorite things in 2024 has just been allowing myself to try things again for the first time with like a very like clean slate. I think I used to just be like, if I didn't like it in the past, I won't like it now. And that's so not true. And I think my overall theme of 2024 was just growth and kind of trying things again and kind of just like, having like a childlike approach to everything because for so long I was just basing my life off of previous years I've lived. And then 2024, I was like, let me try something again and see if I like it. And now I like surprisingly love running and I love being athletic and I that never was an identifying factor for me in the past. And people would literally like I would just like I did golf in high school so I can get out of PE just because I hated moving so much. But now I'm like, damn, I really wish I did like volleyball or I did tennis or soccer or just some sport because I think it's harder when you get older to like start a physical hobby like soccer or like volleyball or tennis because I think everyone at this age for the most part is already really good at it. And so like when you're starting it when you're older, it's like, is there room for someone who's like very beginner at it? And I think there is. I think with Run Club, I was very intimidated because I did not identify as a runner. And then I joined the Run Club and I was like, oh, like other people there were also kind of in the same pace as me and they also didn't identify as runners, but we all like did it together and then we would like keep coming back and we'd all slowly improve. And I think that was just the most beautiful thing to see is that like you don't have to be perfect at it to start it. You just have to start it. And I think that also has been a huge thing for me in 2024 is just like starting things, even though I don't feel fully prepared. And just like that's the case with this podcast, is I don't fully feel prepared for a podcast, you know? Like, I kind of just whipped together a YouTube banner, a YouTube profile photo, just like a podcast account on Spotify. And I like literally just pressed the record button earlier today. And I was like, I hope whatever comes out of my mouth sounds nice. Um, but because I think if you wait too long and if you like overthink things a bunch, you're never going to you're never going to do it and it's never going to stick. And it's like it could be something you really want to do and really want to give it a chance, but if you just hold it to such this like high standard of like you have to be perfect at it coming into it, then you're never going to do it. And so I think for me in 2024 it's just been about doing it, and if it crashes and burns, and if like you do something prematurely and it doesn't work out, then that's the worst that can happen, is it like it doesn't work out, but at least you are trying and you're putting in that effort. There's a difference between, I like saw this guy on social media. He was talking about like the difference between, what was it, and motivation and I forget the other word. Was it willpower? It was something about, because um I'll look up the word. I want to not have edits in this, so like sorry for this awkward pause. My brain is turning, but it was like you're not always gonna feel motivated to do something, but it's about like kind of holding yourself accountable and just like doing it no matter what, and kind of just using that like just doing it to do it and then seeing what happens. And a lot of the times, I think you pleasantly surprise yourself with that. But yeah, I said get buff for 2024, and that was just like my funny way of saying move my body. Also, getting buff would be nice because I think just strength. And I'm 23. I'm gonna sound like ridiculous, but I have literally, my body gets so sore sometimes. Like I lifted up a suitcase and I fully like pulled a muscle in my back for like the next 2 weeks, and it was really really awkward. And I think just like stretching and like prioritizing my physical health has been something that's been good for me too, just because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm taking care of my body and I want to be strong and I want to be able to do things. But the last three, I'll speed run the last three of my 2024 resolutions. They were get a tattoo. Didn't happen. I still want a tattoo, but maybe this is what I need to do because I don't know what I want. And I think maybe I'm overthinking it. I think maybe I just need to like get a tattoo, but I really want a tattoo. Another one was document life more, which I think I did. I took a lot more videos and photos, and I scrapbooked and vision boarded, and I journaled. I did capture life more, but I want to capture life even more in 2025. I have this goal of taking maybe a photo a day, but maybe that won't stick. So just like photos whenever I feel like it. So just like carrying my camera around, the camera that I'm filming this on. It's like a nice small little camera that I can just like put in my pocket and just taking photos frequently, and then hopefully at the end of 2025 I can make a coffee table book of all of my photos I took that year, and so each year going forward I can have a kind of physical copy of my life and in photos, because I think a lot of the times now I have them in my camera roll, but something about relying so much on like digital stuff freaks me out. And I think even with this like podcast, I'm gonna try to back up all of my videos to like a hard drive, because like I still no, like if Spotify goes down or if YouTube goes down, like I still want to have my actual recordings and like listen back to what I was saying. And so yeah, I think I want to document life more, but also have a physical version of this documentation, so that way in the future I know I'll always have it with me. And the last one was apply to grad school, which was crazy because now I don't even want to go to grad school. So that just also goes to show that you can change your mind. But now those were all my 2024 resolutions, and as you can see, a lot of them did not come to fruition. And some of them did. And I think looking back, because every year, me and my cousins, we do this fun thing where we like look at our 2024 or like the year before's resolutions and we like see how much we did. And so like this year I was like, wait, I didn't do a lot of them. And for like 2 seconds I was kind of sad about that. I was like, wait, I didn't like fulfill a lot of the things I wanted to. But this year, 2024, has been my favorite year I've yeared in life on planet Earth. And I think it's because I allowed myself to kind of just listen to myself and just like grow, and I allowed myself to be pulled in directions that like felt right to me, and I couldn't have predicted that at the beginning of 2024. And because I was kind of just like listening to myself and growing and allowing myself to grow and not holding myself to goals I set like months ago that I don't align with anymore. I think this year has been one of the most fulfilling years of my life. And obviously, it looks very different than what I thought it would be. I didn't leave the country. I didn't apply to grad school. I didn't get a dog. I didn't get an apartment. But I did do so many other things. And it has been one of the most transformative periods and years of my life, and I feel like this year I would not change a single thing about, because everything like happened that needed to happen, and everything that did happen took me to where I am today, and I'm so proud of where I am today. And so when you're setting your goals for 2025, um, I hope you give yourself that same kind of grace of just, having a vision of where you want to go in 2025, but allowing flexibility and allowing room for growth and room for change, because you most likely will grow and you most likely will change, and it won't be the same you throughout the whole year. It'll be different versions of you. I listened to this podcast once that talked about how like if you like have a boat and then it like gets destroyed and you rebuild the boat and it looks exactly like the same boat that it was before because you're rebuilding it to look identical, is it still the same boat? And I think that applies to, it was talking about, I'm saying I think that applies, but this podcast said it applies to humans as well, because we obviously look the same. Like I feel like we age very just like we age, like our bodies are staying the same. This is like still physically the same as us, but like on a cell level, like we're constantly, like our DNA is changing as we grow older, and also like we are changing internally with our thoughts and perspectives and mindset, but we still look the same. So it's like you can predict so much about the future you and how you will be, but you won't be the same, you know? It's like you may look the same, but you won't be the same you, because you'll have lived more and have experienced more. And so you can only predict so much. And I think giving yourself grace is the most important thing. But one thing I wanted to do also in this podcast episode is I wrote a letter to myself at the end of 2023. Um, and I didn't know I wrote this. I fully was just like going through my journal and kind of reading back on an old entry, and I stumbled across this, and I haven't read it yet. So I want to read it right now on camera and on voice recording for the first time and see what I said. Hopefully there's nothing like crazy in here that I need to like edit out. But it's titled "A Letter to My 2024 Self," and I'm holding my book up right now. You can't see it on Spotify, but you can see it on YouTube. And so it says, 2023 has been a roller coaster of a year. And when I say a roller coaster, I mean a roller coaster. It had some of my highest highs and my lowest lows. I had the time of my life in Hawaii and attempting to surf for the first time, to graduating college and having my own apartment at the K, to going to my first music festival and seeing Omar Apollo live. But I also had pretty challenging times, dealing with feeling unlovable from the boys I talked to many nights crying for mental health related issues, to feeling stuck in life from moving back to my childhood home and not being able to find a job. But despite this roller coaster of a year, I can honestly say that I've grown and learned so much this year. I made two of the best decisions of my life in 2023, starting therapy, it really was, and going to the gym regularly. These two decisions have helped my mental health so much, and I definitely plan to carry them into 2024. And I did. Therapy, that's a whole different story. I want to restart it, but I had some complications with my therapist, so. But I love therapy. Anyways, back to the story. I'm slowly learning to let go of control and accept/love myself for the way I am. I spent so many years trying to fix myself so that I could fit in and that other people would like me. But now I've grown to let go of that desire to control every aspect of my life and instead just be grateful for who I am in 2024. Oh, who I am, period. In 2024, comma, I hope to continue these healthy habits of working out and going to therapy while also pursuing and living a life that is genuinely fulfilling and makes me feel whole. I'm very proud of myself and how much I've grown, and I can't wait to see what 2024 has in store for me. Here's to a great year. Wait, that letter was so beautiful. I honestly didn't expect it to be that beautiful. Um, wow. I think, yeah, it's crazy because that is so true. I think, um, one of the best things that's happened to me is kind of just like accepting myself and life and every nook and cranny of it. Um, and kind of just knowing that you can't control things. For so long, I did try to control so much in my life, specifically with like my feelings and my emotions and um, just so much. I try to like control everything, and you can't control your thoughts. You can't control how you feel. You can't control. You can control like a lot of things in your physical world, but if like and I think just because I was such a control freak, the fact that I couldn't control my feelings and my thoughts and the way my body reacted to certain feelings, I became super obsessed with kind of just like my inability to control things, and it consumed me. And one of the best things I did for myself and I am doing for myself is allowing myself to feel things and to kind of just accept where I am and know that like your body's feeling this way for a reason and you're feeling certain ways for a reason, and you can't control that. You can listen to yourself and listen to your thoughts, and obviously you can acknowledge them. You don't have to act on them. You don't have to, pay attention to them. But you can. I think it's the best thing you can do for yourself is um not suppress what you're feeling, and just like even if it's good, if it's bad, obviously no one wants to feel bad emotions, but I think if you try to like shut them off, or if you try to like avoid uncomfortable emotions and feelings, they just come back stronger. And so just acknowledge how you feel, I read this book in 2024. It was called The Happiness Trap, and this is what it taught me. It was telling me that like you can acknowledge how you feel, and then just like let these thoughts, let these things your brain tells yourself, if you like kind of identify them as like not super helpful and like not super taking you toward the like version of yourself you want to be, you can like let them play because you can't stop them. Just let them play in the background of your mind, connect with your body, and then just engage in your physical world around you. And I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself, because it's like you can't control your thoughts. And so the best thing you can do is kind of just acknowledge them, and like maybe name them and be like, my body is telling me this. Like this is this story that my brain is telling me, and I've heard this story before, but I don't have to listen to it. I'll acknowledge it and I'll let it play, but I just will continue to do what I want to do. And that has been one of the best things for me. And it's so beautiful to see that like I was just stepping into that, because 2023 was a really hard year for me. Beautiful but hard. I think 2023 was like a beautiful year on paper, but really hard for me in reality. And 2024 was kind of, I guess it was also beautiful on paper, but I think I think the hardest years are the ones you grow the most, and 2024 also challenged me so much. I right now I'm inspired to write a letter to my 2025 self and not read it again until this time next year. But 2024 has been one of the most challenging years in my life, but I stand by it being my favorite year and my best year, because without those challenging thoughts and feelings and uncomfortable situations, I wouldn't have grown and I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm so grateful to be where I am today. And where I am right now, I still feel anxious. I was driving here and I felt very anxious, and it's not about this podcast, it's about like different factors in my life. Just like so many different factors, and it's like growth doesn't mean you're gonna be perfect. It means that like you're just gonna accept and allow yourself to go through life and feel everything you need to feel so that you can like learn from it and grow from it and not hold back. And so right now, I think I'm at a very weird point too. I'm kind of entering 2025 feeling a lot of mixed emotions, and I'm not scared of that. I'm very at peace with it. And it's like I'm at peace with it, but I still feel very anxious and I still feel very, kind of on edge. But I think there's beauty in knowing that feelings are temporary and I won't feel this way forever. And that also, like it's human to feel stuff and it's human to kind of have changing emotions. And I don't want to suppress anything. I want to listen to myself. And when I'm feeling something, acknowledge how I'm feeling. I don't have to act on it. Like I don't have to feed into these thoughts and like let them consume me. And I think by going for like runs still, like yesterday I went for a run, or 2 days ago I went for a run, and today I'm like out here filming this podcast. I think I can still do things that I know ground me and make me feel good, while also like simultaneously still feeling anxious and still feeling kind of overwhelmed. Um, just because it's like you slowly like learn about things that like make you feel good, and it's good to do these things but not do them to avoid feeling bad. Just do them to like allow yourself to process things more holistically. And so that's where I am right now. I think in life I'm entering 2025 a little scared, a little overwhelmed, but I'm proud of myself for allowing myself to feel overwhelmed and to feel scared. And I know that like this feeling will change maybe in a week, maybe in a month, but um, emotions come and they go, just like this ocean I'm looking at right now. The waves come into the shore and then they go back out, and it's just nothing in life is permanent. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And wow, sorry, just looking at the ocean right now, it's like the water is so beautiful. I want to be in it so badly. I think every time I'm outside, I'm just like so inspired by nature and by life. And there's so much beauty all around us. And I think one of the big things for 2025 and my resolutions is to kind of just, you know, find beauty in the everyday, because I think there's like beauty all around us, and there's you know, romanticism, is that a word? There's like life around us is so romantic and it's so beautiful. We just have to tap into that. I think no matter what, it always is beautiful, but sometimes we like are just closed off to seeing the beauty of the world around us, even if it is your morning commute to your job in LA, or your like desk space, or like chores, or whatever it is. Um, they all can be beautiful and they all are beautiful. It's just about closing yourself off to that or opening yourself up to it. And I think that's one of the things I want to do in 2025 is open myself up to the beauty of the world in all of its glory and all of its traffic and all of its, you know, undesirable aspects. I think they can all be beautiful as long as I allow myself to see the beauty in them. And I also, my word for 2025 is curiosity. Just being curious. I really want to stay curious about myself and how I'm feeling and about life in general in terms of hobbies. I want to try new stuff and kind of be curious about how I feel about it and if I like it. I want to learn the guitar in 2025, or maybe not learn, just play. Like I think, and I don't want to hold myself to like this, because I think when I say learn the guitar, it's like I have to get to a certain level in order to like check that off. But I think I just want to play the guitar to play it, and whatever, however good or however bad I am at it, I think it's subjective. And so I just want to like grab a guitar and play. That's something I want to do in 2025. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I think that might be it. Let me go back to my notes real quick and see if there's anything else I want to quickly mention before ending this episode off. But honestly, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I for 2025, I am going into it very I have a vision, like I said, but I'm not holding myself super um religiously to it because I'm allowing myself to grow and to change. And so, as of right now, in 2025, I want to play the guitar. I want to continue moving my body and going to the gym and going for runs. I do want to run a half marathon, which is kind of a more like yes or no. It's not super like gray area. So I hopefully will book a marathon, a marathon or a half marathon. Sorry, I don't know what I said earlier, but I want to run a half marathon, and I hopefully will book that soon and start training for that soon. Um, I said earlier I want to read 4 books. I want to travel outside of the U.S. in some capacity. Um, and what else? I wrote them on my phone. Let me check my photos right now. So sorry. Brief intermission. And I want to start this podcast, which I'm doing right now. Document life more. That's what I said earlier, just about like having my coffee table book of photos. I guess this podcast in a way is documenting life more, just capturing how I'm feeling and how it's changing. And yeah, that's as of now where I see myself going in 2025. But we will see if that changes. And so I hope you, and when I say you, I mean my future self, my current self right now, and whoever's listening to this podcast enjoyed listening to this and hopefully found some of it interesting. And I can't wait to not hopefully, I can't wait to talk to myself again next week or whenever I find a time to talk to myself and see what's on my mind then and what I want to talk about. But I hope whoever's listening and to myself that we have a really great 2025 New Year's and that it's a fulfilling year full of beauty and fulfillment and health and um, life and emotions and all of their glory. So, signing off for today, but I will be back. Okay. Goodbye.